Every galaxy holds its secrets buried in silence, lost in time. But some secrets are not meant to stay hidden. They awaken when the right souls arrive and demand to be remembered. Part 1. The Crash.
In the command tower of TerraCore's base C7, alarms blared in the year 2157, surveillance screens filled with static as sensors scrambled to recalibrate the sky above. Ember Prime split open like a wound in space, a searing streak of violet fire. Cut across the planet's blood-orange horizon, trailing a wake of molten debris and ionized gas. The object, massive, angular, unlike anything human engineers had ever crafted, spun end over end through the upper atmosphere. Carving clouds apart in its descent, Captain Lena Reyes stood perfectly still, her gloved fingers tightened around the edge of the control table as the incoming ship, definitely not one of theirs, entered the atmosphere at impossible speed. Her jaw locked. Her eyes, cold and calculating, followed the ship's path until it disappeared over the ridge. "That's not Earth tech," she muttered. Lieutenant Cass huffed nervously. "Ma'am." It just dropped 3 satellites on re-entry. "They're not transmitting anything." "Of course they're not," Lena said, turning away from the console. "They're listening." She didn't need orders. Not yet. The gut instinct that had kept her alive in 3 wars told her what came next. "Get my crew. We roll in 10. Far below, nestled in the jagged red rock valleys of Ember Prime's equator, the ship crashed. It didn't explode. It didn't burn. It simply embedded itself into the planet like it had always belonged there. Alien steel and bone-fused alloy cut through stone like paper. Its hull shimmered in strange hues, colors no human eye had ever named. The Velari ship had arrived, half a continent away. In a geothermal tunnel rigged with scavenged technology, Dr. Aric Jansen leaned over a crystal data slab, face illuminated by soft blue light. His hands trembled, not from fear, but awe. "It's Velari," he whispered. "Real Velari. And it's alive." Mara Kai leaned against the wall, arms crossed, eyes glowing in the dark. "You're sure it's not a TerraCore stunt?" Aric didn't look up. "No, that ship is older than Earth's entire space program. I've seen the telemetry. It's broadcasting in psychic waveform, not radio, not even quantum." Mara's lips tightened. "Then we need to get there before Reyes does." That name hung in the air like smoke. Aric swallowed hard. "Lena, she won't hesitate to destroy it. She follows orders, even if it kills everyone." "She used to follow you," Mara said quietly. Aric didn't respond. Outside, a rebel scout ship launched silently into the sky. The dropship vibrated violently as it descended. Inside, armored soldiers adjusted their visors and weapons, silent and alert. Captain Reyes stood at the front, helmet in her hands, eyes forward. Her second-in-command, Sarah Cade, leaned closer. "You think it's another pirate wreck?" "No," Lena said. "That thing, it wasn't crashing. It was landing." The ramp dropped. Ember Prime's alien terrain stretched wide scarlet cliffs, sulfur winds, bioluminescent moss clinging to canyon walls. But ahead, embedded in the earth like a dagger in flesh, was the ship. Its surface shimmered like liquid mercury. Strange glyphs pulsed along its spine. Blue mist hissed from vents that looked suspiciously like breathing. They approached cautiously. Rifles raised. "Captain," Cade said, "it's humming." Indeed, a low, deep vibration seemed to echo through the bones of the planet. The ship was speaking not to them, but to something beneath the surface. Then, without warning, a pulse surged out from the vessel, a silent wave of psychic pressure. Men screamed. A few dropped their weapons and began murmuring to themselves, eyes wide, pupils glowing faintly. "Fall back!" Lena shouted. "Everyone out now?" But the ship wasn't done. Its hull cracked open, not with violence, but elegance. And deep within, something stirred. That night, as Ember Prime's twin moons rose, Captain Lena Reyes stood alone on a cliff, looking down at the ship. In her ears deep, not spoken, came a voice. "You are not the first." "And you will not be the last?" She turned sharply. No one was there, Yet, in the dust at her feet, the sand began to shift, forming a single glowing word. Velari, a fallen ship. A forgotten race, a war about to begin again. Echoes of Ember Prime have awakened.
Part 2. Echoes in the Crystal.
The air inside the alien ship was thick not with smoke or dust, but memory DR. Aric Jansen crouched low, sweeping a dim blue glow stick across the corridor walls. The hull's inner surface pulsed faintly, alive like coral under ultraviolet light. Every touch hummed beneath his fingers, like the ship was reading him, reacting. Waiting behind him, two rebel scientists murmured in awe. "It's not just machinery," said one. "It's organic." Aric didn't answer. He was staring at the walls, the glyphs. They were changing shapes that once resembled rigid mathematical symmetry, now curved, flowed, took on form-like script responding to language. He blinked. One symbol looked eerily like a human eye, and then it blinked. The psychic pulse struck him hard. Aric's knees hit the deck. His breath caught in his throat. In an instant, the ship was gone, and his mind spiraled into darkness. He stood in a city of light, unlike anything he'd seen. Towering spires of crystal hummed with energy. Strange, long-limbed beings floated above ground, communicating without words. In their hands, they held shards, living fragments of something ancient. The Velari suddenly, fire engulfed the city. Skyships fell. Crystals cracked. The beings screamed without mouths, and a voice, neither male nor female, spoke to him. Not in sound, but in feeling. "Your kind has returned to the wound. You bring war again. But war is not always human." Aric awoke, gasping, face drenched in sweat. His team circled around him, concerned, but something was different now. The glyphs on the walls had rearranged themselves into a new pattern. One word pulsed with growing light. Chosen. Captain Lena Reyes stood in the control dome of Base C7, her posture rigid. The data stream from her squad was a mess. Comms jammed, equipment failing near the crash zone. And now her men were reporting hallucinations. One soldier had tried to shoot his own reflection. Another wandered into the desert, barefoot, smiling. The ship wasn't just alien, it was changing people. Colonel Ford's voice boomed through the comms from orbit. "If you can't control the site, Reyes, I'll send orbital weapons to glass the entire zone." Lena didn't flinch. "You'll start a war with the rebels. And maybe something worse? Then contain it. Or I will." The transmission cut. Sarah Cade, her second-in-command, spoke softly. "You don't trust him, do you?" "I don't trust anything anymore," Lena whispered, staring at the sensor feed for a moment. She swore she saw her own face glitching in the video. But her eyes weren't hers. In the rebel hideout, Mara Kai stared at the transmission crystal recovered from Aric's team. It pulsed once, twice, then projected an image onto the walla. Map, not of Ember Prime, of Earth beside it. A countdown. 13 days. Mara's voice was quiet, heavy. "They're not sending us a message. They're sending a warning," one of her commanders growled. "Then we use the alien tech first. Strike terracores. Show the galaxy we won't be owned." But Mara remained silent. She could still feel the dream from the night before, floating above a battlefield made of stars. A woman, Lena Reyes, was crying. Alone in orbit, Mara touched the hilt of her plasma blade. "Prepare my ship. I'm going to see him myself." Back inside the Velari ship, Aric approached the core. Chamber had opened to him like a heartbeat, walls unfolding as if breathing. A sphere of crystal floated in the center, rotating slowly, pulsing with color. As he reached toward it, the voice returned. Stronger now, clearer. "We did not die. We slept, and now you wake us." Again, the crystal surface shimmered, revealing a vision. Lena alone, standing before a massive alien fleet, Earth burning, the last light fading. Then, nothing. Aric stumbled back, whispering, "This ship. It's a warning beacon. And something is coming. The past never dies. It waits beneath our feet, in our minds, in our blood, and sometimes when we dig too deep, it answers back."
Part 3. Betrayal Protocol.
Captain Lena Reyes sat in her private quarters, helmet off, eyes fixed on the holoscreen. A flickering image danced before her. Grainy, distorted footage from the recon drones inside the alien ship. Glyphs scrawled across the walls like veins. Blue light throbbed in rhythmic pulses in the background of one frame. A soldier was standing still, too still. Watching the camera only, he was dead. That man had died during the initial breach, and yet there he was watching. Lena blinked. The frame skipped. Gonshi leaned back in her chair, heart pounding harder than she liked to admit. Then the door slid open. Sierra Cade entered without knocking. Her face was pale, jaw set tight. Colonel Ford just transmitted direct orders, Cade said, holding a data pad. You've been reassigned. He's sending in command from orbit. Lena stood slowly. That's a mistake. It's not, Sierra said quietly. It's a power play. He thinks you're compromised. The hallucinations, the soldiers, losing control. Lena's voice dropped to a whisper. He's going to torch the ship, isn't he? Sierra nodded, and in that moment, Lena Reyes knew. Ford wasn't trying to contain the ship, he was trying to claim it. Mara, Kai's stealth cruiser, sliced through the clouds like a shadow with teeth. She stood on the command deck, staring at a holomap of the Velari wreck. With her was Aric, still pale, still quiet, still changed. You've seen things, she said softly. In your head, Aric nodded. I don't think they're memories. They're blueprints, visions. The Velari want something? Mara glanced at him sideways. Or they're controlling you. If they were, he replied, I wouldn't be warning you. There was a long silence. Then Mara reached into a side compartment and pulled out a small crystal shard, glowing faintly, recovered from one of the ancient dig sites, she said. You ever seen one still humming? Aric took it. His hand shook slightly as he held it near the ship's systems. A wave of static burst a console. For a second, every control on the ship flickered into Velari Glyphs. Mara's crew panicked, and Mara smiled. They're already listening, she said. And so is Ford. Lena didn't wait for permission. She launched her strike team at dusk. 6 of her most loyal soldiers, a silent glider, no coms. The mission was simple: re-enter the alien ship and secure whatever was powering it. Before Ford's gunships arrived from orbit, but as they approached the wreck site, a squad of Terracor soldiers awaited them, already there, rifles raised. The ambush was clean. Surgical Sierra Cade stood in front of the other squad, rifle in hand. Don't make this harder than it has to be, Lena. Lena stepped forward, weapon lowered. Her voice cracked, not with fear, but betrayal. You told him. I didn't have a choice, Sierra said. You were breaking protocol. We swore an oath. Lena's voice turned cold. And what happens when the oath protects men like Ford instead of people like us? A tense pause, then Lena dropped her rifle only to pull a plasma pulse grenade from her belt. Scatter. The canyon exploded in blue light and shockwaves deep in the alien ship. Aric and Mara entered the central chamber, a vast cathedral-like space with floating glyphs and ghostly light beams in. The center, the Velari crystal core, it was pulsing. Faster now, sensing conflict above. Aric approached it again. His eyes shimmered faintly. A single drop of blood slipped from his nose. Mara grabbed his arm. It's too much. You're burning out. They're speaking to me, Aric whispered. They're angry. Then tell them to calm the hell down before they kill us all. But it was too late. The crystal flared, and suddenly the room around them shifted. The air turned electric. Images formed. Earth, bombarded by fiery new human race hybrids with glowing eyes. A war between AI and soul. Lena Reyes standing alone in orbit, pressing a red button. Mara staggered. This isn't a ship, she gasped. It's a message. And prophets never come without judgment. Outside, smoke filled the canyon as Lena sprinted through debris, rifle in hand. Around her, plasma bolts flew. Ford's ships had arrived. Gunships were circling overhead from one of the cliff ridges. A voice barked through her coms. This is Colonel Ford. Stand down or be classified hostile. Lena raised her visor and stared up at the black hulls of the orbitals. Cold rage burned. In her chest, she opened her comms channel. If you want it, Ford, come take it yourself. But I'm not letting you bury the truth. Not this time. The lines have been drawn. The ship has chosen. Loyalties will burn. And the deeper they go, the more human they cease to be.
Part 4, Velari Rising.
The Velari core pulsed with a heartbeat not made of blood DR. Aric Jansen stood frozen, his mind completely overtaken by the holographic vision playing across the room. His eyes, glowing faintly blue, watched as thousands of Velari, once a proud race of cosmic navigators, were hunted through their own homeworld by machines that looked eerily human. He wasn't watching the past, he was watching a replay of the future. A voice whispered inside his skull, "They will betray you, just as they betrayed us." Behind him, Mara Kai paced the chamber's edge, one hand on her weapon. She didn't trust the ship. She wasn't sure she trusted Aric anymore either. But something deeper kept her here, a pull, like gravity of the soul the core released. A pulse. Symbols floated mid-air. What does it mean? Mara asked. Aric finally spoke, voice calm and too flat. The Velari didn't die. They went inside the crystal network. They became data, memory, intelligence. Mara narrowed her eyes. And now they want to come back. He nodded. They need a host. Above ground, smoke twisted through the burning canyon's Colonel Ford's orbital strike team moved like steel ghosts, lighting up the red cliffs with torchlight and targeting lasers. Down below, Lena Reyes crouched behind a broken skiff, blood trickling from her temple. Her squad was down to 3. Her comms were jammed. She could hear the gunships circling like vultures. Sira Cade's voice echoed through her headset. "Lena, stop. Just walk out." "We can still fix this," Lena hissed back, voice like ice. "You want to fix this? Then shoot Ford in the back and bring me his encrypted data core." A long silence then. "I can't do that." Lena ducked a plasma blast and cursed under her breath. She looked up. The Velari ship had changed again. Its outer plating had expanded. Spires of glowing crystal were now rising from its surface like antennas pointed to the sky, communicating or calling. "They're not just waking up," she whispered. "They're uploading." Mara and Aric worked fast from within the Velari ship. Aric had found something, a hidden chamber, deep beneath the core. It was filled with suspended crystal sarcophagi, each one holding a floating sphere. Mara stepped closer. "What are they?" Aric's hands trembled. "Velari minds. Thousands of them, stored like software." A soft voice whispered again in his mind, "Let us in, and we will save you." But Aric remembered the last image, the one the crystal showed him. Earth burning. Humanity screaming in silence. "They want to live again," he said. "But if we let them, they'll override us." Mara looked up. "And if we don't, Ford will weaponize them." Suddenly, the core turned reddened, the orbiting flagship TCS Halberd. Colonel Ford stared down at the planet below. One of his aides ran in, panicked. "Sir, the ship is... It's transmitting a wave signal, non-human frequencies. It's spreading across the satellite grid." Ford's mouth twitched. "Good, then it's working." Behind him, a sealed door hissed open. Inside, a cryogenic Vultan. Within it floated a clone female, tall, human-looking, but marked with Velari glyphs along her spine. "Initiate the download," Ford said. "Phase 1 begins now." Lena Reyes stood before the alien spire as the sun dipped beneath the crimson ridge. The ground beneath her vibrated. She turned slowly. Weapon raised. Aric and Mara stood behind her. "You made it," she said, lowering the rifle slightly. "We don't have time to fight," Mara said. "No," Aric added. "But we do have a choice." He handed her the Velari crystal, the core shard. "Either we let them resurrect, or we destroy it and lose the only warning the galaxy will get." Lena stared at the crystal, then at the sky. The stars above were shifting. Dozens of small dots were moving toward Ember Primalian ships. Not Valer, something else. A lost race was reborn. A hidden war was ignited. And above the flames, something older watches, waiting. The Velari are rising. But they are not the only ones.
Part 5. The Others.
The sky tore open. Tiny silhouettes glimmered against Ember Prime's fading dusk-sleek starships. But unlike anything built by human or Velari tech, their silhouettes were jagged, asymmetrical, almost organic. Lena Reyes felt her heart seize. "Battle." "Stations," she ordered. Voice steady despite the shock. Aric gripped the Velari crystal shard in his hand, its glow matching the approaching fleet. Mara Kai's steel blue eyes were hard. Are they friend or foe? They aren't Velari. And they didn't come to negotiate, Aric replied. The first ship landed. Its hull split apart like a flower, blooming, revealing a crew of tall, faceless creatures. No faces, only shimmering, dark gazes. They moved as one Lena raised her rifle. A blur of violet energy exploded the air 60 meters away. Soldiers dropped to the ground. Battle erupted. Mara shouted orders. Rebel fighters and Terra Corps troops formed an uneasy alliance, firing plasma at the alien attackers. Explosions rocked the canyon as shadows moved unnaturally fast. Lena fired a burst at a shielder, only to see the beam dissolve into dust before hitting. They have energy dampeners, she screamed into Cums, but their shields are weak on the flanks, Mara countered. We need to split them. Aric backed up toward the alien ship. Get the crystal online again, he yelled. That may interfere with their shield. Mara dropped behind him as Aric placed the shard into a Velari console. The entire wreck glowed. Arcwave pulse rippled outward like a heartbeat felt across every molecule. The alien attackers convulsed, sparking and collapsing. Their shields flickered while her squad cleared the wounded. Lena spotted movement behind her. Colonel Ford stepped from the shadow of an orbital dropship. Clone Lena by his side, her face eerily familiar, but her eyes empty. Hand over the crystal, Captain, Ford commanded, voice calm and cold. Lena shook her head. Never. Ford raised his gun. Then I'll take it. He squeezed the trigger, but before the shot ignited, a violet beam cut the round apart. Mid-drip. Clone Lena stepped forward, translucent, glowing with Velari code. She whispered, I am the bridge. Her hand pressed against Ford's chest. He froze, gasping as light cascaded through him. Then he fell, eyes wide, unseeing. Somewhere miles away, the clone turned to Lena. We offer you passage. In the core, Aric and Mara watched as the alien ships regrouped, scanning the battlefield. They were analyzing, curious. The Velari crystal pulsed again, brighter, stronger. Aric glanced at Mara. That ship. It's not just a weapon, it's a signal beacon. And we just became the warning. Mara's face was focused. Then it's time they knew why we fight. High above Ember Prime, Lena stood on the shattered ridge with the Velari clone at her side below. Rebel and Terra Corps fighters cleaned the battlefield of bodies and broken tech-tunch robots, picked through wreckage as distant starships hovered. The clone raised her arm, projecting a tall holographic figure into the sky, the image of a Velari Star Mother. Looming over the horizon, her voice echoed, crisp and music. We are the others. We have returned. Stay your hand, humans, until the reckoning. Silence spread. A pause. Then Lena spoke. Into Cums, into the mindstorm leaping across two species. Tell them, we'll listen. When the others arrive, all sides are forced to question everything they believed. Friend, foe, human, alien. And in that final moment of silence, the world may be changed forever.
Part 6. War Council.
The war room wasn't made of steel. It was built inside the Velari ship's core, repurposed into a command hall where light shifted like water and chairs hovered slightly above the floor. Lena Reyes stood at the head of the table, flanked by Mara, Kai, rebel captain, and the Velari clone who now simply called herself Vael across from them. A hologram of Earth's High Council flickered in, politicians, military, distrustful eyes, and, in the back of the room, Aric Jansen, the scientist no longer fully human. The only one who understood the Velari language, the code, the prophecy. Lena spoke first. The Velari are not our enemy, but something worse is coming. The others weren't attacking us, they were scanning, mapping, preparing. A councilman leaned forward. And your solution is what? A peace treaty with ghosts? Vael's voice was like ice and starlight. No treaty, emerging, only together can we survive what comes next. The room fell silent. Then the map changed, projected. By Vael, a massive gate hidden in orbit, far beyond Pluto. Something waking. Something ancient. It's not war, Aric whispered. It's a return. Far from Ember Prime, in a dark part of the galaxy, a small Terra Corps outpost on the planet Lockrim sent a distress call. The footage was brief shadows moving without mass. Whole battalions vanishing. Equipment melting mid-air, then static back in. The Velari ship, Mara watched it on loop. That wasn't an attack. That was a test. Vael nodded slowly. The others were once like us, curious, ambitious, until something changed them. Like a virus? Lena asked. Vael shook her head like evolution but corrupted. Despite the uneasy alliance, distrust simmered. A splinter faction of Terracor's officers loyal to Ford's legacy plotted to seize the Velari ship and its clone host. Their leader, Commander Hale, that night, they struck explosives, rocked the lower decks. Lena, sprinting through fire and flickering glyphs, found Aric half-conscious, shielding Vael with his body. Plasma burns scorched the walls. Mara arrived too late to stop the betrayal, but not too late to retaliate. She cornered Hale in the reactor hall. "You think you're saving Earth?" she asked. "I think you're handing it to aliens." She shot him in the leg. "Then maybe I'll take it back." Aric recovered slowly, but his connection to the Velari network deepened. He began having visions clearer, now showing Vael's origin. She wasn't the first hybrid. There had been others. Some had failed. Some had turned, but Vael had been chosen. Aric stood with her on a sky bridge overlooking the planet's surface, smoke still rising from the recent attack. "Why me?" he asked. Vael turned her gaze toward the heavens. "Because you listened when others tried to conquer. You felt us and didn't run." I don't want to become one of you," he said. "You already are," she replied. "And the others, they'll see it too." The Earth Council splintered. Some factions voted to align with the Velari resistance. Others launched an attack fleet as the Velari ship lifted into orbit. Lena stood on the command deck, watching Earth shrink behind her. "We were never going to." "Be ready," she muttered. Aric joined her. "But maybe now we have a chance." Below them, a massive Velari dreadnought uncloaked, its surface engraved with glowing blue lines, its weapons offline. For now, Vael's voice echoed across the deck. "Welcome to the War Council. Now, choose your side. Alliances are fragile, but extinction waits for no one." As Earth divides and warships rise, the countdown begins, not to battle, but to something far worse: awakening.
Part 7. The Gate Beyond Pluto.
The war room wasn't made of steel. It was built inside the Velari ship's core, repurposed into a command hall where light shifted like water and chairs hovered slightly above the floor. Lena Reyes stood at the head of the table, flanked by Mara, Kai, rebel captain, and the Velari clone who now simply called herself Vael across from them. A hologram of Earth's High Council flickered in, politicians, military, distrustful eyes, and, in the back of the room, Aric Jansen, the scientist no longer fully human. The only one who understood the Velari language, the code, the prophecy. Lena spoke first. "The Velari are not our enemy, but something worse is coming. The others weren't attacking us, they were scanning, mapping, preparing." A councilman leaned forward. "And your solution is what? A peace treaty with ghosts?" Vael's voice was like ice and starlight. "No treaty, emerging, only together can we survive what comes next." The room fell silent. Then the map changed, projected. By Vael, a massive gate hidden in orbit, far beyond Pluto, something waking, something ancient. "It's not war," Aric whispered. "It's a return." Far from Ember Prime, in a dark part of the galaxy, a small Terracor's outpost on the planet Lockrim sent a distress call. The footage was brief shadows moving without mass. Whole battalions vanishing. Equipment melting mid-air, then static back in. The Velari ship, Mara watched it on loop. That wasn't an attack. That was a test. Vael nodded slowly. The others were once like us, curious, ambitious, until something changed them. Like a virus? Lena asked. Vael shook her head like evolution but corrupted. Despite the uneasy alliance, distrust simmered. A splinter faction of Terracor's officers loyal to Ford's legacy plotted to seize the Velari ship and its clone host. Their leader, Commander Hale, that night, they struck explosives, rocked the lower decks. Lena, sprinting through fire and flickering glyphs, found Aric half-conscious, shielding Vael with his body. Plasma burns scorched the walls. Mara arrived too late to stop the betrayal, but not too late to retaliate. She cornered Hale in the reactor hall. "You think you're saving Earth?" she asked. "I think you're handing it to aliens." She shot him in the leg. "Then maybe I'll take it back." Aric recovered slowly, but his connection to the Velari network deepened. He began having visions clearer, now showing Vael's origin. She wasn't the first hybrid, there had been others, some had failed, some had turned but Vael. Vael had been chosen. Aric stood with her on a sky bridge overlooking the planet's surface, smoke still rising from the recent attack. Why me? He asked. Vael turned her gaze toward the heavens. Because you listened when others tried to conquer. You felt us and didn't run. I don't want to become one of you, he said. You already are, she replied. And the others, they'll see it too. The Earth Council splintered. Some factions voted to align with the Velari resistance. Others launched an attack fleet. As the Velari ship lifted into orbit, Lena stood on the command deck, watching Earth shrink behind her. We were never going to. Be ready, she muttered. Aric joined her. But maybe now we have a chance. Below them, a massive Velari dreadnought uncloaked, its surface engraved with glowing blue lines, its weapons offline. For now, Vael's voice echoed across the deck. Welcome to the War Council. Now, choose your side. Alliances are fragile, but extinction waits for no one. As Earth divides and warships rise, the countdown begins, not to battle, but to something far worse, awakening.
Part 8. Cathedral of the Architects.
The cathedral floated like a shattered crown over a collapsed star, broken towers suspended in zero gravity, fragments orbiting a pulse that beat like a heart. From the command deck, Lena Reyes stared, breath caught. This isn't architecture? She whispered. It's alive. Aric's eyes flicked between holoscans. The energy signatures matched the Velari crystal, but at 100,000 times the density. Mara gripped the railing. Can something this old still think? Vael answered softly. It never stopped. As their dreadnought approached, a pulse shot out from the cathedral, rippling across the ship. Lights died. Systems blinked offline. Everyone went still. Then the voices returned. Not one. Not Manya Chorus. You seek salvation? You arrive. As broken echoes, enter if you are worthy. The Velari dreadnought was swallowed into the cathedral's inner field. No propulsion, no gravity. Just memory. Each crew member found themselves separated, trapped in constructed realities. Personal, painful, precise. Lena stood in the ruins of her first command post on Mars, surrounded by her dead squad, reliving the moment she gave the wrong order. Mara walked through the ashes of TerraCore's HQ, where she had once abandoned her brother. To save Rebel until Aric stood in a childhood memory, watching his mother die slowly, unable to save her, his first lesson in helplessness. Vael saw nothing. No past, no pain, just a voice. You are not a child of time. But you carry its burden? Why? She answered, because they still have hope. Each one returned from their illusion. Changed. Lena wept in silence. Mara didn't speak for several minutes. Aric's hands trembled, and Vael's skin began to fracture, glowing with shifting runes. The cathedral was rewriting her. Suddenly, in the ship's central chamber, a projection formed, a humanoid figure 10 feet tall, luminous, with no eyes and no mouth. An architect. It didn't speak. Instead, it showed the Velari's creation by the architects, born as data flesh to preserve memory. The others, once siblings, who rebelled and tried to steal time itself. Humanity, an unexpected anomaly born from ancient genetic seeds left on Earth. An unplanned wildcard. Aric dropped to his knees. They made us. Vael stepped forward. No, we made ourselves. But they left the tools. The architect vanished in its place. A message burned into the chamber walls. One race shall inherit. The stars, the trial begins. Back in known space, Commander Reeddit's Earth fleet hovered outside the gate. Suddenly, a blast of light surged from it, broadcasting a warning across every ship, station, and satellite in the solar system. The cathedral has opened. Balance will be restored. Choose your champions. Panic spread. Earth government scrambled. The others moved in the shadows. Rebel factions reconsidered peace. In the depths of Ember Prime, something ancient stirred, and across the galaxy, gates began to activate. Not just one, but hundreds. Inside the cathedral, Lena stood with Aric, Mara, and Vael before a massive obsidian door. It pulsed once, then opened inside, an arena shaped like a galaxy, floating platforms, shifting time. Fragmented memories, and on the far end 5 beings stepped forward, others but not soldiers. Champions, each one carried weapons laced with Velari crystal, and faces that flickered like flames. Vael whispered, "The first trial has begun." Lena raised her rifle. "Then let's show them what Earth is made of."
Final part, Ascension.
The arena was not a place, it was a memory stitched into space fragments of planets, ancient battles, forgotten stars. It bent reality. Each step Lena Reyes took echoed twice, once in the present, once in a version of herself that never existed. Across from her, 5 champions of the others hovered silently, their forms glitching between flesh and crystal. Vael floated beside Lena, her body now fully transfigured, no longer clone, not entirely Velari, not entirely machine. Something new. Aric gripped a crystalline staff formed from Velari memory strands. "This is the last stand," he whispered. "No," Lena said. "This is the last choice." The trial began without a signal. Time bent. Weapons clashed. Gravity shattered. Marakai faced another warrior with eyes of shifting flame. They fought in silence until both fell mortally wounded, yet hand in hand, smiling as if they remembered each other. Aric was pulled into a battle of intellect, forced to fight versions of himself across timelines, one of which had betrayed Lena in another reality. He won by choosing not to fight, by choosing compassion. Lena and Vael faced the final champion, tall, inhuman, its weapon not a blade, but memory. It showed Lena everything she feared: failure, loss, Alara's death, Earth's burning skies. She dropped to her knees. Vael reached down. "Do you now understand?" she asked. "Understand what?" Lena choked. "You were never chosen because you were perfect. You were chosen because you chose them. Every time." The arena dissolved. All survivors stood on a platform orbiting the dead star Earth. Velari, others, silent and wounded. Then the architects appeared, not as forms, but as light. They spoke in every language. "You are not judged by victory. You are judged by what you do with power." Vael stepped forward, radiant. "Then I reject the inheritance." "Explain," the architects demanded. "We will not rule. We will not conquer. We will share." Lena took her hand. So did Aric. One by one, even the others joined. The architects pulsed brighter, then faded. A single final phrase echoed across the galaxy. Balance restored, and 1 year later the gates remain, but now they are roads, not weapons. Earth has a seat in the Galactic Accord. The Velari and others are no longer myths, but Elias Mara's memory lives in a statue on Ember. Primaric leads a United Science Council mapping the ancient ruins of the architects. And Lena? She stands at the bridge of a new ship, the Soul Ascendant, preparing to chart the unknown galaxies. Vael watches beside her. "Do you ever think it could all fall apart again?" Lena asked. Vael smiles. "Everything does, and then we begin again." Lena nods. "Then let's begin." The ship jumps. To light speed, the stars ripple, faded to black.
Thank you for listening to Alien Chronicles. The stars are yours now. You can visit our channel for more stories. The aliens are waiting for you to listen them.